Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Believe in Duke podcast. I'm Steve Wiseman from the Raleigh News and Observer in San Antonio, in the back of the house at the Alamo Dome, joined by Sheldon Williams, who's also in Texas. Sheldon, good to be with you again, man. Um, we're almost there, about
Yeah,
36 hours,
well,
maybe, right?
one, we're on the same time zone, so that doesn't happen too often. And then two, yeah, we right here, right around the corner. So Final Four, all the excitement that builds around it, the journey to get to this point is now almost here. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun time.
I saw a picture yesterday of Duke's practice from 2004 in this very
Oh,
building in the Final
okay.
Four. You were obviously prominently portrayed um, before you guys played UConn the next night. So
Hmm.
just tell from your point of view, like the players just got done with their practice here, the Duke players, the open practice in front of fans and everybody. What do you remember about the 24 hours leading up to the Final Four and that game, and kind of what's going through your head as a player?
Couldn't sleep. Could not sleep. I mean, it was too excited to actually play. Again, no, this is a dream of every college athlete. Wants to go out there and go to March Madness and go deep, run into the the NCAA. And the fact that we were there, it sort of seemed like during that year, yes, we were planning on being in the Final Four, but once we got into the Final Four, like the practices and how everything is different. Everybody in front of all the spectators and the open audience and things like that. And you got sign autographs afterwards, which is not really a typical practice. And then you have interviews afterwards, and it's a little bit different than regular games or even the conference tournament. But then going in that night, just thinking about it, like, man, like we're this close to all the videos we saw, Coach K has, showed us of past championship teams and playing that, that song, "The Ball Is Tipped." That whole song, and
One
we was
shining
right
moment, baby.
one signing moment, yeah, and we was right there, and literally we was like, oh, we got one game because like we we knew that Georgia Tech was going to win on the other side, and we already beat Georgia Tech 3 times, so we was like, oh yeah, all we have to do is get past UConn. UConn was the team to beat that year, and unfortunately we lost, I think, about one or two that year, and it was kind of a sad moment, but we got a chance to be there. But leading up to that point, couldn't sleep. The nerves, the excitement, everything kind of go into it. They take our phones, so it's not as big of a deal as it is now, where you see everybody on social media blowing you up and hitting you up on all kinds of different things. So they took our phones. We posted like, just relax and talk to each other until we fall asleep. But it was hard to do that.
I'm sure it's going to be hard for the Blue Devils this year's the modern day Blue Devils, right? 21 years later, we went through the interviews today with them. They're getting ready to play Houston tomorrow night, two number one seeds. Again, it's unlike 21 years ago when there's four number one seeds here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
where you thought, and you were right, whoever won that Duke UConn game in 2004 was going to win the national championship because the other side was much weaker. That's not the case this year because Duke's playing Houston, Auburn, and Florida on the other side, two more
Hmm.
number one seeds. So just a tremendous Final Four. We talked about it in the last episode, how great the teams are here. But now Duke's getting ready for Houston, and they're a veteran team. But Duke has the two teams. Duke has only lost one game since Thanksgiving. Houston's lost one game since November the 30th. So since December the 1st, they've each only lost two games combined between them in 3 months of basketball, right? December,
Mm.
January, February. 4 months because we're
Mm.
April now. So
Yeah, April. Yeah.
this is incredible basketball, isn't it? We're going to see great basketball.
Absolutely. I mean, you have two teams that haven't had the taste of losing, over a long period of time, and even like you said, with that being said, one game being lost over a course of a 4 month span, that's pretty unheard of. I mean, that it just tells you how great these two teams are, and unfortunately, one team has to come to an end, and their season got to come to an end and things like that. But the fact that both these teams are normally used to being the top dog in this situation. Now you get them facing each other. So it's going to be interesting to see. Even though we have the height, Houston definitely has a lot of grit and a lot of toughness. And I'm sure they're going to put all their heart out there on the line and making a tough, hard nosed fought game for us.
Yeah, they have a lot of experience. L.J. Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, Jaywan Roberts, all those guys played against Duke last year in the Sweet 16 when Duke beat Houston. So this is an experienced team. Duke's obviously freshman oriented, but they have Sion James and Tyrese Proctor. They have some older players too. So that's what I think is going to really help Duke in this game is having those older players. But one thing we will talk about one of the younger players. The biggest news of today for Duke was Cooper Flagg was named the AP National Player of the Year. So he's only the fourth freshman to do that. Zion Williamson was the last one. Previously, it was Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis. So that's great company for Cooper. He's the youngest player to ever win the award because he just turned 18, as we know, in December. So incredible accolades. Third organization that's named him Player of the Year. Janai Broome from Auburn was the other top choice that would have been competing against Cooper. I thought Cooper does so many things on the court that, as great as Janai Broome was this year, that Cooper was the Player of the Year. I'm curious what you thought, watching the college basketball landscape this year.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they got this pick right. I mean, like you said, a guy who's leading every single category for his team, and having the top team, it's kind of hard to sit there and say no. This guy doesn't deserve it. I mean, yeah, Broome has had a great year for Auburn, but for them, he's not the guy that does multiple things for them. He's we need you to be our rock. We needed you to be the guy that's going to dominate for us. They're not asking him to set up the offense, run the offense, be the defensive player, be the guy to be shooting the ball when he need a shot, a basket. All the things that are being asked of Cooper this year, he's done. And we've seen early on, he kind of took his lumps a little early on when he had a situation where, I think it was two situations actually, where they gave him the ball at the game on the line and he wasn't able to produce with that. And the fact that he kind of made himself build up from, oh yeah, that's just a freshman trying to figure it out, to now all of a sudden the guy on the team, the man of the team, now the player of the year of everything. It was impressive to see his growth.
Yeah, absolutely. We all remember that game in November against Kentucky when he turned the ball over down the stretch. They lost the game to Kansas. I think Kahn had the turnover in that game, but again, some failures late by the team. And then the game at Clemson where he happened to step on a wet spot on the court. He was driving in, they had a play design. Remember that?
Yeah.
John had him downhill on a play and he was heading to the rim. Looked like, he's pretty much, he's going to score and that's it, or get fouled. I mean, that's by that point we knew who Cooper was and he was going to do that, but he happened to slip in that wet spot. But still, so that was the three things that kind of people remembered. And but he's done so many things, and he seems to know what this team needs when they need it. Do they need scoring in this night? Okay, I'll drop 30 against Arizona, or I'll drop 42, whatever it was against Notre Dame. Do I need to distribute the ball? Okay, I'll go out there and get 7 or 8 assists. Do we need rebounding? Yep, I can do that too. I'll get 7 or 8 of those maybe, or 10 or 12. So just an uncanny ability for a young player to recognize what this team, filled with other great players, by the way, needs to do. And he's kept them at a high level. So congratulations to Cooper. I know it was interesting in the press conference when they announced him as the winner. The entire Duke team was in the press conference room with us, like all the media were up front, and every player on the team, all the coaches were sitting back there behind us. Cooper's family was there. A lot of them are here from Maine. Just a really cool scene here at the Alamo Dome. I don't remember seeing a whole team come in for a press conference for a player to get Player of the Year. Even what Neil Bogovich, one of the reserve players, asked a couple of questions of Coop. So that was kind of cool too.
I did see him. I think he also interviewed Grant Hill as well too. So I saw him trying to get his post basketball career on, things like that. But he did a good job with the interviews. But no, that's awesome to see Cooper and his whole family come down and support, as well as the whole Duke staff and team being there for this big moment. That's a big thing in itself. I think it's good to have it now versus trying to have it after like a championship game, something like that. So I'm glad that they actually got it out the way, and now he can actually focus on the game at hand coming up. So I think that's a pretty good feat as well. But no, this guy, he's been changing. Well, not just him. I think this team has changed a lot of the Duke hate going around. It went from everybody kind of hating Duke to now this team is now making everybody love Duke. And I think that's something that I haven't seen in a long time. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about that because it's always a love-hate for Duke. But the fans really did a good job of accepting this team. And I thought that was pretty cool in itself.
Yeah, and we have some stuff on social media here, like we're going to see on the screen here. People who are watching this live, thanks for joining us and everything. But non-Duke fan here says this feels like a trope. Someone telling us that we are supposed to hate Duke. I don't see a ton of hate there. This is a fun team to watch, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what it is. I mean they're young and they get along together. That nobody's done anything untoward. You know what I mean? Like there's no dirty players in this team. It doesn't appear to be. Nobody's done anything like that. I think a lot of it also has to do. Here's another one. This is from Barstool. Duke is likable, and the guys don't know what to make of it.
I'm saying.
Just Coach K? Yeah, was it just Coach K? Right?
Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know exactly how to feel because it's been so long of people either hate or love Duke. It was no in between, and now I'm seeing a lot of other fans that are not really Duke fans. Oh yeah, we like this team. We like Cooper. We like Khan. We like the way they play and things like that. I just don't understand it because, like I said, I've been so used to them. Everybody having you got a picture here of Grayson Allen. People hated Grayson Allen.
Yes.
Like when I played JJ Redick, people hated JJ. People hated Shane Battier. It was just like that was just the thing. Like find a player that people have to hate on at Duke, and they stick with that player throughout the whole time. And that was something. Wojo, that was another one. People hated Wojo. They find one player that they hate for the whole course of 4 years, and it was from one player to another one coming in, and the same thing. So now that you're looking at it, like I'm not sure if this team, but I think it might have been the Zion Williamson team. When I start seeing things kind of change over, people were like, "Oh, we want to see Zion, we want to see RJ, we want to see Cam," but it was nobody hating on them. And then I think it kind of slowly progressed to this team where it's like a lot more people who wants to be able to like Duke. And dare I say, love Duke, then hate them.
And here we see the opposing opinion, right? It's social media, so there's always haters out there, right? There's no question. It's what it's made for. Nope, not at all. Not in any way. Flag is Redick. All right, misspelling. Zion, Leitner misspelled. Hurley, Tatum, Billis, all very hateable. Well, that's there's always going to be some people out there. You can't please everybody. But no, here's our poll, our social media poll on the Believe network. Did Duke become more likable this season? You know what? Seems like they have. Although the opinion right now says 65-35 the other way. But anyway.
yeah. I mean, I'm seeing more so yes than I am no. So
like
I said, I mean, he speaks so much Duke hate, whether it be tweets. I used to be able to tweet something like, "Oh, so and so did a good play, whatever." Oh, we still hate him. He's still not, X, Y, and Z. I used to get, those responses, but now I'm like, oh yeah, he's actually a good player. We love seeing so and so do X, Y, and Z. I don't see the hate as much. Just random people just saying that. So I mean, I'm sure it's still there. It's just not outwardly like it used to be.
Right, exactly. I've noticed that going to opposing arenas. Right. I mean, when I went to SMU this year with Duke. That was Duke's first trip to SMU. SMU is a new team in the conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were there that day. You remember?
Yep.
And it didn't seem to be the vitriol that you normally get when Duke comes into an arena. We've all been to Maryland, right? We understand what that is. Right. We understand Carolina and Virginia, the long-term rivals. That's going to happen, NC State. But, SMU was like almost happy, like, this is cool. Duke's in our gym. How cool is this, right? And then Duke smoked them, and they didn't even boo or anything. They were like, okay, this is – so
and that's the thing. Like, normally you have like, F Duke chants or we hate Duke or something like that. There was none of that going on. And I'm sure you saw a lot more away games than I have. So just seeing those chants used to be given every single time that, we play, whether we're up, down, whatever, we always heard those chants. And now I'm on TV. I mean, listening on TV, whatever. And I'm like, the crowd's not really giving us the business like they normally do. So what's going on?
I'll be curious tomorrow night though. Okay. Because we're in San Antonio, Houston, 2-hour car ride, whatever it is from Houston. I know Texas is a big state. Heck, it might be 6 hours. I don't know. But anyway, the point is it's drivable for Houston fans. There's going to be a lot of Houston fans here, and there should be. This is cool for them. And Kelvin Sampson handled that well. When they had to go to Purdue, they had to go to Indy and play Purdue, and then Tennessee, who had huge fan bases there. It was like a road game for Houston. And he said, "That's all right. We're gonna get our chance in San Antonio." And so now here it is. So I want to see tomorrow how I think there'll be more Houston fans than Duke fans. And I wonder though, given what we were just sitting there talking about, will Auburn and Florida fans stick around and root for Duke, or will they root for Houston? That'll be the ultimate test here.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not sure how I would feel being a team fan, sticking around for another team's game. Like, oh yeah, we really want this team to win, so I'm gonna cheer for these guys. But yeah, if they do win, we can't cheer no more. That type of thing. So I'm not sure how I would feel if I was a fan trying to cheer on another team. Just because we think we have a better matchup against them versus another team. So, but no, I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. If I remember anything like it was in 2004, being in a huge Alamo Dome and just looking around and seeing just a whole bunch of people cheering. It was such great atmosphere and such great energy. The fans make those games a lot more fun when it's like that, and when it's a really good game too. When it's not a blowout, it's actually back and forth. You see coaching strategy going, for chess pieces type thing. So it's going to be interesting to see, how much blue, how much red, how much, I guess
orange, a lot of orange.
Okay, I didn't know if it was blue or orange for Auburn, and then blue or green for Gators, or how many you going to see the Gator chop.
Yeah, we're going to see some chumps. Yeah, exactly. So I think Auburn fans will root for Duke if they win. Obviously, they have to beat Florida, and if they're still here, because I think they want another chance at Duke because they lost to them at Cameron. That would be, if I was an Auburn fan, that's what I would do. I'd want, okay, we're going to right this wrong and win the national championship. Or there could be some of them that are like, oh my God, we already lost to Duke. Let's play Florida, or let's play Houston. They played them this year, by the way. So
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. So they played. Actually, they played every single team in the Final Four. I didn't realize that.
Amazing.
I didn't realize that. So how crazy is that? Like they played every team in the Final Four.
I just realized that too.
Yeah. That's wild. And the thing is, I think their turning point was against Houston early in the year when they had that situation going on with their team. So yeah,
they did.
I didn't realize Auburn has been very familiar with all three of the teams that they own potentially face.
Hey, props to them for great scheduling. I'll say that right now. So we'll see how it breaks down tomorrow night. The Duke hate is what it is, and we'll see if they can continue to convert people, because it seems like they're converting some people. I will say, I work at the Raleigh News and Observer, my day job, and we have people that are graduates of all the Triangle schools that work at our newsroom. Carolina State, Duke. Not as many Dukes, but you know what I'm saying. There are people that are Carolina graduates that are like, you know what? This Duke team, I can't really get my mind around hating them. They're not, Now, there are other Carolina fans that are hardcore. They're rooting like hell for Houston tomorrow night, okay? And that's what the rivalry is. I have no problem with that.
Right. That's normal.
Like, you know what? I can't really get my mind around hating this team. So,
yeah, that's normal. I mean, the diehards, like, you know what? I don't care if we out. I don't care if we lost the first game, whatever. I'm hating against, Duke. That's what I'm accustomed to. That's what I know. The other one's like, oh, I'm trying to find a way to hate on them, but I really can't find anything. Those are the ones I'm like, I don't understand it. It's supposed to be a rivalry. Like, this blue versus this blue. That's it. That type thing. So it's a weird time, but like I said, times are changing. There's not as much hate against Duke anymore. And I don't know if that credits Coach K retiring, or John's error, or just people are not big on hating Duke anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, Kelvin Sampson, back to great coaches. He talked today about, in the last couple of days, we talked to him about when Shire took over for Coach K. The first thing he did was schedule a scrimmage at Houston. This was August or October 2023, and he said, "I want to go down and challenge my team." We learned a lot from it. Tyrese Proctor said, "Hey, I got my ass kicked that day. I learned a lot. There's some hard lessons that day, and now he's a better player because of it." So, Sampson talked about his respect for Shire and the way that Coach K did the handoff, how successful it's been. I think everybody can agree this succession plan worked. No
Mhm.
matter what happens Saturday night, if they lose
Right.
to Houston, they made the Final Four. There's
Mhm.
nobody can argue with the fact that it worked, right? I mean, are
Right.
we on
Right.
agreement on that?
Yeah. Not. I mean, I still think even if he didn't make the Final Four this year, it still was a success with the handoff between former coach to new coach type thing. So I think it was definitely a success with that. Obviously, it's a lot better if he actually do make the Final Four and try to make a run at the championship. But even if he didn't make the Final Four, I still think that it was all the things that he's done from. Is this what 3 years now? Is it 3 years? Yeah. So for what he's done for the last 3 years, I mean, what other coach has had the success their first 3 years like John Shower?
Nobody.
Player wise, talent wise, coaching wise, like he's hit the ball out of the park on every single thing you can think of. So the only thing he can do now is actually win the whole thing. Like, I mean, you can't ask for a better start to a coaching career following a giant at a huge school like Duke, like John has been doing.
It's the only thing missing is a national championship. He's won 2
Yeah.
ACC titles, been to the Final Four now. He's
Yeah.
89-21 as a head coach. 89-21. That's not. I think most people would take that.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
So,
Not too shabby.
let's see how this team is going to handle the pressure that Houston's going to put at them, right? That's what Houston does. They're the best defensive team in the country, but Duke's the best offensive team in the country. So I love strength versus strength, man. I love it. And Duke's defense is going to have to shut down Houston's three-point shooting. But, Houston's going to – the thing for me is when Duke has the ball, they're going to try to spread the court. They're going to try to find those driving lanes like Kahn gets in, gets downhill, Cooper gets downhill. Against a physical team like Houston, it's just a matter of setting good screens, right? You've got to be in the right positions. Does that seem right to you as a way to find success against it?
Yeah, I mean, you have a team who on paper is taller than the other team. That means a lot of times you might get caught up into doing things a little bit faster than you normally want to, and you get called for moving screens or things like that. So we have to be disciplined enough to actually know that, hey, we know that they're a smaller team, so they can actually squeeze around, different pick and roll, different situations, or smaller guys know how to kind of flop into bigger guys and make it seem like they foul them and things like that. So we have to be disciplined, especially in Gamba and Kaman, when they're out there on the court, because we've seen them in foul trouble throughout the year at certain times. So hopefully they're strong enough to know not to take the bait. So I'm hoping that our guys, who have the ball, will be able to wait on them to be stationary before they come up on screens. Although I do know that they don't really get a piece of the guy. Like when I was in school, you had to get a piece of the guy when you set a screen. Now it's kind of more like fluff, where as long as the guy goes over you, you don't have to touch the guy. As long as you kind of, divert his, normal path, that's all they want to, want to happen. So hopefully that's the case. But we got to be strong enough to know that we have to be able to be in the game throughout the whole game and not pick up a lot of cheap fouls that a lot of smaller guys will tend to kind of do against bigger guys.
Yeah, and on that note about the bigs, update on Malik Brown. He's doing well.
Okay.
He didn't come out of last weekend any worse for the wear. He's obviously not 100%. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. It's impossible to be 100% that quickly after dislocating your shoulder. But talking to him yesterday, he didn't have the brace on, and he didn't have the brace on out there today. So he thinks he's going to try, I think, to play without it on Saturday night. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
He made it the last minute, discretion the better part of valor, and put it on just to make sure. But because he just got 2 games left, so he only try to get him. He only played 7-8 minutes for 2 games last weekend. That was just enough to kind of get back into it. So we'll see that, but that's a huge thing for Duke to have Malik Brown, no question.
Yeah. So that's good news to have. I'm glad they actually have him as a choice in case Ngamba does get into foul trouble. Like he did the last game, I believe he picked up a couple fouls kind of quick, and we did see a Malik sighting for a couple minutes with that. But I'm glad that he didn't injure himself even more, and he's able to still be able to play. And I know anybody who wants to be able to compete at this level and have a chance to even be in the Final Four, they want to be able to participate in the Final Four too, and not just be able to watch the Final Four too. So I'm sure he's kind of itching to play a little bit more and try to make sure his body is able to do that too. So as a competitor, I understand it. Hopefully he's not doing a little bit too much, and he listens to his body as well.
Yeah, and we know how important he is because he allows Duke to switch all 5 positions. And I know they're doing that more with Kaman when he's out there. Pat, not so much. He's a younger guy, so it's okay. But yes, Malik having that piece to be able to implement for John is a really big thing. And we said it when the injury first happened in February, when he first dislocated his shoulder on February 17th at Virginia, that they need him for the last weekend of the season. That's it. They can get through the ACC. They can get through, probably the first couple weekends. Turns out they needed him against Alabama and Arizona a little bit. But these are the best teams in the country. The 4 best teams in the country are here. So they're going to need their full-strength team. And even if he's not 100% healthy, he can get out there and play and do what he does. And so that is huge for Duke to try to win this game against Houston. And if they, can survive that and then against Auburn or Florida, because it just gives John his full implement of the defense he's going to need to do to win this national championship and to win number 6. So already got 3 banners going up in Cameron. The 4th one is right there, man. 4th one is right there.
Right there. So, yeah, again, hopefully everybody, kind of stay true to what got them there and not try to do something, A lot of times when you get super excited, you kind of do things that you don't normally do. So hopefully that's not the case. There's no hero shots or trying to take over and trying to, this is my time to try to be MVP of the Final Four type thing. So hopefully we stay true to what we are and who we are and what we did to get there and kind of make sure that we play that team basketball.
I'm going to wrap this up, but we're going to get out of here in a second. But I want to go back to something we talked about at the start. Cooper winning the AP National Player of the Year. He's the 8th Duke player to win it. That's far and away the most of any team. Other times, a couple teams have 3 players of the year. Duke has 8. That tells you how dominant Duke is in this award, which has been handed out every year since 1961. So congratulations on that. But only 2 of those 8 won the national championship the same year they won this award. One was Christian Laettner in 92. The other was Shane Battier in 2001. So, as you know, J.J. Redick won it in 2006. That was the year LSU in Atlanta, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So not to bring that, I'm just an example. Zion Williamson won it, lost to Michigan State in the Elite 8. So Cooper wants to finish this off to become the 3rd to win this award and win the national championship. So again, it's right there for him.
Yeah, that's an amazing stat right there. I didn't realize that. I for sure thought Jay Williams would be on that list, but I guess he didn't win it. But I thought for sure he'd be on that list too. But that's an amazing stat. So hopefully he's able to be the 3rd Duke guy to do that.
Yeah, Jay Williams won it, but he won it in 2002.
Mm.
So, and that's the year Indiana knocked him off in the Sweet 16. Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, it happens, man. But this is a chance for Cooper to fully cement his legacy at Duke in his 1 year at Duke by cutting down the nets, listen to One Shiny Moment. Again, back to the start of this episode, One Shiny Moment, and having the party. They do a parade on the Riverwalk after the team that wins gets in a boat and goes down the Riverwalk here.
Oh, that's
Villanova did it in 2018. Last team did it. So we'll see. That's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah,
how about that?
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, thanks everybody for listening to this edition of the Believe in Duke podcast. Thanks for those who joined us on the live stream. Catch us on YouTube. Catch us on your favorite podcast provider. Subscribe, comment, rate us. We love it. And we'll see how the Blue Devils do against the Houston Cougars on Saturday night. Sheldon and I'll be back on Sunday with another episode, and we'll see what the tone of that episode is. It could be looking ahead to the national championship. It could be a season wrap-up. We don't know. But that's why they play the games. Great weekend in San Antonio for the Final Four. Appreciate everybody joining us, and we'll see what happens on Saturday night.
All right, let's go Duke.